You probably believe that you choose your partners rationally. You notice someone attractive, you feel a connection, you talk, you get closer, and eventually you decide that this is the person you want to be with. It feels like a conscious process. It feels voluntary. It feels like a choice. But what if the strongest force behind your attraction was never conscious to begin with? What if, long before you ever met that person, something inside you had already decided the type of person you would fall in love with? Carl Jung believed that our psyche is not a single unified mind making logical decisions, but a layered system made up of conscious and unconscious elements, and within that unconscious layer exist what he called complexes. A complex is not just a bad memory or a personality flaw. It is an emotional cluster formed around past experiences that were never fully processed. These experiences often come from childhood, especially from relationships with parents or authority figures, and when they are emotionally intense, they don't simply disappear over time. They become organized patterns within the psyche. These patterns begin to shape how you perceive the world without your awareness. They influence what you notice in people. They influence what you feel drawn to. They influence what feels familiar. And most importantly, they influence what feels like love. Have you ever found yourself inexplicably drawn to someone, even when you knew they might not be right for you? That invisible pull, that sense of recognition you can't explain, may be the voice of your unconscious, guiding you toward unresolved emotional patterns. Here's the problem: your mind doesn't always look for what is healthy. It looks for what is familiar. And familiarity, especially emotional familiarity, can feel like chemistry. You might meet someone who reminds you, in subtle ways, of the emotional atmosphere you grew up in. Maybe they are emotionally distant. Maybe they are unpredictable. Maybe they are overly controlling. Maybe they need constant reassurance. Consciously, you may even recognize that this person is not good for you. You may even warn yourself that history is repeating. But unconsciously, something feels right. The emotional pull persists, strong and compelling. Jung would say that in that moment, it is not your conscious personality that is making the decision. It is your complex. The complex is searching for resolution. It is attempting to recreate an old emotional situation in the hope that this time, the outcome will be different. This time, maybe you'll finally be understood. This time, maybe you'll finally be accepted. This time, maybe you'll finally receive the love you didn't receive before. And because these emotional patterns are so deeply embedded, they can operate completely outside of your awareness. You may believe you are making free choices, but in reality, your past is silently shaping the present. Without understanding these patterns, you will continue to repeat the same cycles over and over again. Different face. Different name. Same dynamic. You might say, I always end up with emotionally unavailable people. Or, I keep choosing partners who need to be fixed. Or, I don't know why, but I'm attracted to people who eventually reject me. And perhaps most haunting of all, you can see the red flags. You can know intellectually that the pattern is repeating, yet you feel powerless to stop it. Why? Because the complex is not persuaded by logic. It speaks a language older than reason. It speaks in emotions, in instincts, in a subtle sense of recognition that bypasses conscious thought. It seeks completion, longing for something unfinished to finally be resolved. Jung believed that until these unconscious forces become conscious, they will continue to shape your choices, your desires, and your relationships. The work of self-awareness is precisely to illuminate these patterns. To recognize them. To bring them out of the shadows where they have been silently operating for decades. When you start to see the emotional patterns that have silently guided your life, you begin to interrupt their automatic influence. You stop confusing familiarity with compatibility. You stop mistaking intensity for connection. You stop chasing relationships that feel like unfinished childhood stories. And in that space of awareness, choice becomes possible. You can choose differently. You can respond consciously rather than react unconsciously. You can look at someone and ask yourself, do I feel this pull because they are truly right for me, or because my psyche is trying to complete a story from long ago? And perhaps for the first time, you begin to choose a partner not because they trigger your past, but because they align with the person you are becoming. This is the essence of Jung's insight: freedom is not in changing the world, it is in seeing yourself clearly. Understanding the complex within allows you to step out of the cycle. Understanding the unconscious pull allows you to see the familiar for what it truly is. And in doing so, you are no longer being chosen by your past, you are choosing your present and shaping your future. It is challenging, it is uncomfortable, and it requires courage, but it is also profoundly liberating. And that is why the study of complexes, and the exploration of your own shadow, is not just academic. It is deeply personal. It is the key to breaking cycles, to finding real connection, and to finally understanding why you are drawn to the people you are drawn to, and how, at last, you can choose differently.